Good morning, friends. Again, we are at the start of evolution of the UN. Now, I want to let you know some topic of founding of United Nations, and it is a book from the Contemporary World Politics. Chapter is International Organization. So, in 1941, signing of the Atlantic Charter by the U.S. President, that is Franklin D. Roosevelt, and British Prime Minister Winston S. Churchill. 1942, January 26, Allied nations fighting against the Axis power meet in Washington and to support the Atlantic Charter and the signing of Declaration of United Nations. When they signed the Charter of United Nations, Declaration of United Nations, that is 1942, January 26th. 1943, I'm giving the timelines. 1943, December, Tehran Conference, Declaration of the Three Powers, that is US, Britain, and Soviet Union. Then we switch over 1945 February, Yalta Conference of the Big Three, Roosevelt, Churchill, Stalin. We used to call them Big Three. That is Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin. Stalin was from USSR, Churchill was from basic England, and Roosevelt from America. Decide to agree a United Nations conference on the proposed world organization. In April, May, the second long United Nations conference on international organization at San Francisco. 1945, June 26th, signing of the United Charter by 50 nations. Poland signed on October 15th. So the UN has 51 original founding members. How many founding members were there? That is 51 founding members when Poland signed the UN Charter on October 15th. In 1945, October 24th, the UN was founded, and October 24th is called celebrated as UN Day. It is celebrated as UN Day on October 24th को हम UN Day celebration के रूप में मनाते हैं. In 1945, October 30th, India joins UN, and it's a very one of the important part of India that when India joined, that is 1945, 30th of October. Now, evolution of the UN. Evolution means the born, how the UN was born, why the UN was born. You know, League of Nations, I told you earlier in the class, I'm just recapturing it. League of Nations, LON, it was a failure because it was unable to, stop the First World War as well as the Second World War. And Second World War was a dramatic situation where atomic bomb was dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Right. So the First World War encouraged the world to invest in an international organization. Right. So many believed that such organization would help the world to avoid war. Right. As a result, the League of Nations was born. To stop the war, League of Nations was born. However, despite its this UN war, this League of Nations was initially it was a successful, but due to the past time, it was unable to control the World War, World War One, and as well as World War Second also. Despite initial success, it could not prevent the Second World War. Second World War was 1939 to 1945. Many more people died and were wounded in this war than ever before. 39 to 45 when the Second World War was. I told you it was a type of a nuclear war when America dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 6th August 1945 and 9th August 1945 consecutively. So two atomic bombs were dropped. Then the UN was founded as a successor to the League of Nations. I told you in the class also that it was a successor. United Nations was a successor of League of Nations. It was established in 1945, immediately after the after the Second World War. After the Second World War, right? So the organization was set up through the signing of United Charter by 51 states. 51 states here means 51 countries. It tried to achieve the league. It tried to achieve what the league could not do between the two world wars. What the league word, what the work was, what league work was. League work was to stop the war, to 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 create the peace between the fighting nations. But it was unable to do it. It was unable to do it. The UN objective is to prevent the international conflict. To prevent international conflict. You know, when international conflict is there, then the matter is very serious because that particular international conflict, I said conflict, not war, it can convert into the war, and that war could be very dangerous, right? So America, Japan, right? They were the fighting forces, Axis forces, allied forces. Germany was defeated, Japan, and another country was there. Right, these three countries they were defeated by the elite powers. So it was to prevent the international conflict and to facilitate cooperation among states. It was founded with the hope that it would act to stop the conflicts between the states escalating into war. I told you that conflict is a small part, and when it goes to war, it's a bigger one. So and conflict between states and escalating into war, and if war broke out, to the limit the extent of hostilities. Furthermore, since conflict often arose from the lack of social and economic development, the UN was intended to bring countries together to improve the prospects of social and economic development all over the world. What is the word? That the UN was intended to bring countries together. UN want to bring the countries together to improve the prospects of social and economic development all over the world. They want UN want that there should be social and economic development. If the economy and social development will be there, then the cooperation will be there. When the cooperation is there, then the peace will be there. If the peace is there, then the development will be there. Everything is related to one another. So peace, cooperation, and development. Peace, cooperation, and development. So by 2006, the UN had 192 members. By 2006, UN had 192 members states. This included almost all the independent states. All the independent states. In the United Nations, United General Assembly, all members have vote one vote per country. One vote per country. In the United Security Council, there are 5 permanent members, and this Security Council is one of the important parts of the United Nations organization. This Security Council has the veto power, and the veto power is one of the major powers which UN is having. Right. So, how many states they have the unitedly as having the veto power? All members have one vote each. In the United Security Council, there are 5 permanent members, and these permanent members, I told you just now, 5 permanent members, they are having the veto power, and they are United States, Russia. Now I will call it Russia because it's already disintegrated. Right? Earlier it was a Soviet Union. Now it's a disintegrated. That's why we call it Russia. Right? United Kingdom, Russia, then France, then China, United Kingdom, Russia, United States, France, and China. Five. These states were selected as a permanent members as they were the most powerful immediately after the Second World War. They were very powerful. They were very powerful as after the Second World War. Right? And because they constituted the victors in the war, because they were inside of the victors, जो वो जीत चुके थे उनकी साइड पे थे ये. That's why they are the world powers. So the United Nations most visible public figure and the representative head is the Secretary General. Secretary General is the head of the United Nations. Secretary General. And earlier, the Secretary General is basically the most major personality. It and the United Nations consists of many different structures and agencies. They have got many different structures and agencies. And if I give you one question, who is the present Secretary General of United Nations? Who is the present Secretary General of United Nations and which country he belongs to? This is a simple one mark question. Which country he belongs to and who is the Secretary General of United Nations presently? Right. Such an war and peace and difference between the member states are discussed at General Assembly as well as Security Council. So the UN consists of many different structures and agencies, war and peace and differences between member states are discussed. What are the causes of war? How could be the peace should be maintained? They are the major discussions topic now also in the United Nations, and they used to be discussed by the member states. In the General Assembly as well as Security Council, social and economic issues are dealt with many agencies, including including the World Health Organization. World Health Organization is a major concern who is to take care of all type of disease throughout the world. Now you know it that we are facing COVID-19 and World Health Organization WHO. It's very much concerned when this vaccine will be available in the market of the world. Now it is said that UN said that COVID is a pandemic. Is a pandemic. One is epidemic, one is pandemic. Now, another question for you. What do you mean? What is the difference between pandemic and epidemic? Right. So, this is the World Health Organization, the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, United Nations Development Program. Throughout development is being taken care of this organization, UNDP, United Nations Development Program, WHO, World Health Organization, and the United Nations Human Rights Commission, UN, UNHRC, United Nations Human Rights Commission. You will say, sir, what do you mean by UNHRC? What the work is it? They know we are all human beings. We have got certain rights means no one we should be killed unnecessarily, no one should be killed, and there should be no war. The human being should be treated accordance with the rule and regulation, right? So these are the things which UNHRC is developing. Then United Nations High Commission of Refugees, when one country people used to leave their country and used to go to another country, another shelter, and they asked to be refugees. They used to be refugees when there was a war between 19 in India and Pakistan in 1971, and a lot of refugees came from Bangladesh to India. That then UNHRC, United Nations Human Rights Commission, and United Nations Refugees Commission, they used to take care of it. Then we have got UNICEF. It's one of the major part, UNICEF, that is United Nations Children's Fund. United Nations Children's Fund, that is the UNICEF. Then and United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, that is UNESCO. So I told you many parts of the UN. UN is a head body, and we have got WHO, we have got UNDP, we have got UNHRC, all under the United Nations. Then UNICEF also, then UNESCO, right? UNESCO. So they are the major part of United Nations organization. Then come to the reform of the UN after the Cold War. Reform after the UN in the Cold War. So reform and the improvement are fundamental to any organization. Reform and improvement. The whole life is under the reform, and in countries also, any country, first they have to go to under the reform, then there will be improvement. Reform and improvement are fundamental to any organization to serve the needs of changing environment, to serve the needs of changing environment. The UN is no exception. Let me tell you one thing, the UN is no exception. In recent years, there have been demands for reform of world body. Recent years, they have got the lot of people, lot of countries. They want some type of reform in the United Nations also. Because, from 1945 to 2020, right, lot of changes has been there, but there is no any reform. I'm sorry. So, reform and improvement are fundamental to any organization to serve the needs of changing environment. The UN is no exception. In recent years, there have been demands for reform of the world body. Reform for the world body. However, there's a little clarity and consensus on the nature of reform. Right? Little consensus of nature of reform. The two basic kinds of reform face the UN: reform of the organization structure and process, and a review of the issues that fall within the jurisdiction. First is reform of the organization structure and processes, and a review of the issues that fall within the jurisdiction of the organization. Almost everyone is agreed that both aspects of reform are necessary. Reform is very much necessary. Everyone agreed. What they cannot agree on is precisely what is to be done. What do you mean by what is to be done? They don't agree. Then some nation says, you know, some some part is important. Another nation will say another part is important. They used to argue on this, which is the most important aspect. They are unable to agree on a single point. So, on the reform of structures and processes, the biggest discussion has been on the functioning of the Security Council. Functioning of the Security Council. How the Security Council should be in the function. Related to this has been the demand for an increase in the United Nations Security Council permanent and non-permanent membership. Now they used to basically fight for the what to be done for the permanent member, what not to be done. for the non-permanent member. And who could be the permanent member? Who could be the permanent member? Who could be the permanent member? So basically, basically the they used to say that now earlier there are the five permanent members. Now they want to increase the more permanent members. India is one of the major part that India also wants to go as a permanent member. So on the reform, the structure, the processes, the biggest discussion has been on the functioning of the Security Council. Related to this has been demand for the increase in the Security Council permanent membership and non-permanent membership also, so that the realities of the contemporary world politics are better reflected in the structure in the organization, so that the problem which uh, um, third world countries, developing countries are facing, the problem should be before the UN. If we say that all five permanent members, they are all the developed countries. No developing countries. China is also from the Asian country, and we can say that there is a good economic sources of China, and that is a developed country. But who is the representative of the developing country? Who is the representative of the developing country? So, in particular, there are proposals to increase membership from Asia, Africa, South America. They want to be representative. These countries want to have the representative, right? Beyond this, they want to increase membership from Asian countries, from African countries, from South American countries. Beyond this, the US and the other countries want improvement in the UN's budgetary processes and procedures and its administration. Many countries, they also want that there should be some type of processes that could change some important aspect and do some important aspect for the budgetary session also and the other administration also. So on the issue, to give the greater priority or to the broad within the jurisdiction of the UN, some countries and experts want the organization to play a greater or more effective role in peace and security position. They want that more greater role should be peace and security position, security mission and positions also, while other want its role be too confined to development and humanitarian ground. Some want that there should be greater role for effective role in peace and cooperation in security missions. But another party, other countries, from other countries, they want to confine their part in development and humanitarian work. For example, health, education, environment, population control, human rights, gender, social justice. It should be there. Let us look at the both sets of reform within the emphasis on the reform of the structures and processes. We have to go into the processes also. We have to think about the reform also. What type of emphasis we have to put on this. Then the UN was established in 1945, immediately after the Second World War. I told you that the UN was established in the 1945, immediately after the Second World War, and the way it was organized and the way it functioned reflected the realities of the world politics after the Second World War. What were the realities? What were the realities? How should it function? This United Nations, they have to think about it because after the Second World War, lot of changes were there. New countries were born. Many many major countries and one superpower was disintegrated. So lots of changes was there because 1945 Second World War ended Now it is 2020. So lot of changes are there. So here are some of the changes that have occurred. And now I will let you know some type of few changes. The next changes I will do it tomorrow. The first thing I told you just now, the Soviet Union has collapsed. पहले हम इसको सोवियत संघ कहा करते थे. सोवियत संघ कोलैप्स हो गया, टूट गया और 15 न्यू रिपब्लिक्स बनी सोवियत संघ से. नाउ सेकंड इज, जब सोवियत संघ टूट गया लेकिन बैलेंस ऑफ पावर बिगड़ गया. बैलेंस ऑफ पावर वाज डिस्टर्ब्ड एंड यूनाइटेड स्टेट is the most important single one, hegemony, whatever you say, that is the US is the second. US is the only strongest power in the world. So I stop over here. Tomorrow I will discuss again. Thank you.